Good morning, Red Foxes. I'm here with a quick recap of our last weekend at Trinity for our scrimmage and an update or a preview of this coming weekend, our first race at MIT. Sorry that I've been holding back on this. The MIT race has been flip-flopping around with some of the timing of events and getting things organized. Early season, there's a lot going on, a lot of weather issues and scheduling things getting locked up right now. So I'll start with Trinity. So we went out to Trinity. We brought 4 8s with us: top 8, second 8, third 8, fourth 8, and the first and second varsities raced with Trinity's first and second varsities, and the 3V and 4V8s raced together. So 4 boats and 4 boats. The weather was significantly better than last year. It was mid to low 40s temperatures, light winds, partly cloudy, pretty typical spring day. The Connecticut River, where Trinity rows, has a lot of current, and so rather than run set distance pieces, we ran 2 5-minute pieces with each boat, and then we did 2 1-minute pieces to close out, just for fun, for sprinting. So, kind of recap of how it went down. The first piece with the varsity, second varsity, the second varsity jumped off the line really fast and had a great piece. They were in the far right-hand lane of the river, which is the most protected lane from the current. And they used that to their full advantage. They had a great piece. They ended up, I think they were the winner of the piece out of all 4 boats. So they got ahead of Trinity's second varsity, and they were given a lead in front of the 2 varsity 8s, and they were able to stay ahead through most of that piece. Trinity's varsity did walk up on them at the end of the piece. It was pretty even, but so a great start. Really competitive piece for them. The varsity 8 had a little bit of a slower start. I got the sense that they were kind of holding something back, or almost trying to row like really clean and efficient, and not really like just sending it with 100% of what they could use. Second piece was better. The varsity and the second varsities switched lanes. The varsity had they got dropped off the start again, like the first piece, but then in the body of the piece really put the hammer down and were actually walking back up into Trinity's crew by the end of the piece. So at one point they were down like deck to deck, bow to stern, but then by the end of the piece they were probably about 4 seats down on Trinity's 8. So that was a better, more aggressive piece. And then the second varsity in that piece, they started out really well. They were having a really competitive piece, and then in the last minute or so of the piece they had to stop. They got cut off by Trinity's 2 8s. They got squeezed out, and so Tessa, our coxswain, had to let it run and let the other boats get ahead. So I think they were, obviously bummed that they didn't get to finish that piece, but I thought that they were having a good row before that. Then on the way back, we did our 2 1-minute pieces. The first one of those 1-minute pieces, the Marist 8 went absolutely ape and crushed Trinity in that one piece. Started pretty even and like walked all the way through them. So that was cool to see. I think it was telling for them that that at that really high max pace that they could stick with Trinity and actually put the hurt on them a little bit. And so we talked a lot about, after the workout that, how they need to be able to give that kind of 100% max effort at the beginning of their race piece at the start, to like be in the race more. So it was good. A very young crew. We're obviously, learning, developing as a boat, and that was a good learning lesson for them, I think, to see that I think they had more power in there than they gave themselves credit for. And so a lot of the workout was them kind of realizing, like, hey, this is a drag race and you can't save anything for later. So, hoping to race this weekend, I think, with a little bit more reckless abandon. That's the goal. In the 3V and 4V racing, both of the Marist boats got beaten in the first piece, and then both of the Marist boats won the second piece. So they flip-flopped pieces with the Trinity crew. And so I think that was also a good wake-up call for those boats. I think they both got a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? They got jumped on the first piece and then came back and were able to have a good result on the second one. So a lot of conversation after the workout with all four boats about how to prepare better, how to be better warmed up, how to execute better, and talking about the fact that come race day, there's obviously no second piece, so you have to be able to deliver on the first big piece of the day. And so it was good learning lesson. Very special thanks to Trinity, their team, and their coaching staff, who were excellent hosts. Really great having those two teams get together again. Always highly competitive and friendly, very similar group of athletes, and so we're hoping to keep that on the calendar in future years. And thanks to the parents and the alumni who stopped by. We had a nice little food tent, and one of the parents put together some meatball subs for lunch, which was awesome. I know the athletes really appreciated that, so thanks for everyone who helped organize the food. This weekend we are at MIT. It's our first full 2K race of the season. We will once again have first, second, third, and fourth varsity eights. MIT does not have a 4V, and so our 4V is going to row with the MIT 3V and 4V in the third varsity race. So that'll be a 3-boat race. That race is right in Cambridge, in downtown Boston. The team will launch and land out of the MIT boathouse. And if you're interested in stopping by to watch the racing, it is a pretty good place to be able to see the racing. The MIT boathouse is probably about 600 meters from the finish line. And if you're trying to see the race, the best place to see the race is kind of along that stretch of the river between MIT's boathouse and the finish line, which is to the west of their boathouse. The closer you get to the finish, the closer and closer the shells, the crews are to the shoreline, the northern shoreline. We've had some shakeups in our lineups this weekend. We had an injury in the varsity 8. Our 4-seat Matthew Roscoe is going to be out with some lower back problems. And so that caused the varsity and then all the crews beneath the varsity to have to shift around some athletes. And so obviously the last 3 or 4 days has been a lot of adjusting to the new lineups. But I think by and large the the athletes are feeling pretty good. We had a fantastic practice yesterday. I thought all the boats were really getting after it. And so we're looking forward to a great weekend in Boston. I think the varsity's obviously very young, so we now have 5 freshmen and 2 sophomores and a senior in the varsity 8. And so it's a young crew. They're going to be learning and gaining throughout each race. The second varsity's like a very mixed bag in terms of age range and backgrounds and different things. And so it's hard to tell where all our boats are going to wind up. I think the one certainty is that we definitely have more depth this year, not just in terms of the total number of people, but the overall quality of rowing goes way deeper. Where we feel like our 3rd and 4th and 5th varsity 8s are all rowing really well, probably better than last year's 3rd varsity 8 was. And so that kind of depth is pretty cool to have in the house, and we're looking forward to being able to kind of showcase that at the events that we're going to in the coming weeks. There won't be a food tent for MIT this weekend. It's kind of a tough race to do that. We literally rigged the boats right on the sidewalk on the street in the middle of Boston. So this one's a little bit more of a surgical strike for the team. But we're looking forward to some great racing with MIT, which has been another fantastic long-term rival for us. Always great racing, always really friendly between the two crews. And we hope you'll stop by in Boston and join us and see us race. I'll hopefully be back with you guys tomorrow evening or afternoon with a little update about how we did and a recap of our MIT duel, and then a preview of the next week, which is going to be back in Boston, but a slightly different location at Tufts Boathouse. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow with our recap.